My name is Richard Mickan, and I went there from kindergarten to 5th grade, and then they centralized it. So 6th grade, I had to go to Galway.
My name is Richard Sherman. I was born in 1938. I don't remember the years because I switched places going so much. I mean, I was 5 years old when I started going to the Fish House school. I don't know what the number of it is. And after 4 years there, I went to Broad Auburn for 5th grade, and then back to Hagedorn Mills for 6th grade. And then 7th grade, I went to Galway to the old school down on East Street. And then 8th grade, they had built the new school when they centralized for that.
Rich, do you remember which district you went to, the name of the school and the number?
That's number 2, and they call it Barkersville School because it was just out of the village.
And can you give us a general location of where that school was? Any landmarks that might be there today? Is the school still standing?
The school's still there. After they centralized, they had a auction, and they sold the school. And a guy by the name of Williams bought it, and he renovated it into a house. So there's still people living there. So,
Yeah.
and the location, if you go out of Barkerville on County Route 16 heading north, you get to the top of a hill, and this Glenwell Road comes out to the left, and on the right side would be the schoolhouse.
And what about Fish School?
Well, you better repeat what you said before.
What about your school?
Well, the Fish House School is on South Shore Road in Fish House, and it's now the community center from what I understand, and I don't know the number of the school. Then the Hagedorn Mill School is on Hagedorn Mills Road in Hagedorn, where the present firehouse sits now, which is that District 1 or 2? With District 1. And that was, I stayed there for just 6th grade, and we had a lot of fun there. Like I was telling them the other night over here, there was like 6 classes together at the Hagedorn Middle School, and the teacher would give you things to do in math or whatever, and you'd end up doing it on the chalkboard. And when you'd start out like with math, you'd do the first problem and have her show her that, and then you'd go to, like she gave you 6, you'd go to the 6th one, show her that, because she had so many kids to keep track of that you do just two maths, questions and answers, and there was a little book room where you could go in. It was like a library, very small, and it had a big window up at a ways, and we'd do stuff and get things done what we had to do, and then we'd go in there and close the door, and we'd climb out the window and go play. And we did this a number of times. I went to school there with Percy and Sammy Souls, and in Fish House I went to school with, oh God, I can't think of his name now. Leonard CeeLo, and there was a bunch of Finches went to school there with me, and also by where the first Hahn Creek Road comes out to Fayetteville, that farmhouse there, Kurt Ahrens bought it, and they were, I think, refugees that came over at that time or something, And they had a son and a daughter, and they went there with us. I know the son was named Kurt Jr., but I knowed her well, and she was my age, but I can't remember her first name anymore.
So you snuck out of the window. Did you ever get caught?
No.
Let's talk a bit about the building itself. What do you remember about the building, both inside and out?
Well, you come in the front door, and there was a door to the left immediately, and that went around to. They used to have coal. They had a big coal stove in the main building, in the main schoolroom, and that's where they put the coal. And then the second door was for us for boots and snowsuits and stuff like that. And then you had the main part of the building, the big part, where we sat and had a big chalkboard on one side, big coal stove in the middle. And if you was the furthest kid away, it was kind of cold in the wintertime. But the boys in 5th grade and 6th grade, they would have a schedule where if it was my turn, I had to make sure that the coal pail by the stove was always full. That would have been my job for that particular day, or I don't remember if it was a day or a week, but.
And you've mentioned one school so far. What was the other school like? Do you remember?
Which one are you talking about you wanted? Oh, you mean
the
Hagedorn?
library room.
Well, the one at Fish House, if I remember right, was a 2-room schoolhouse.
Oh, okay.
And it pretty much looked like it does now, almost. It's maybe a little bit different upkeep, but it was. But I don't remember anything about the fires or anything like Rich does. So, but it was, and there was 2 teachers there, and I can't remember anything about cloakrooms, and I don't remember the stoves with the fires or anything. But
what about bathrooms?
They were outside.
yeah, you had to go out to go to them if you wanted
Outside.
to go. You didn't have any flush handle either.
No, but we had swings, big swing sets, and it was all fenced in, and it was where the back of the building was like on a hill, so that was all downhill. There was a few trees, and pretty much that was about it down there. We just had swings, that was all. So we had to make our own games up,
Do you want to tell us about any of those games?
Well, the one I remember playing a lot was, there's a name for it too, but that's slipping. One person will be the rabbit, I guess, and the rest of them are the hounds. They chase you, they touch you, and then somebody else becomes that. It's just a game of running around chasing one another. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember playing ball there, because if you hit the ball very hard, it'd be in the woods anyway. But yeah, we used to make up some of our own games, but that was the one I remember the most.
What about you, Dick? What do you remember?
Well, Fish House had a fenced-in area too, but there was enough room there where there was a small, ball field that you could play. I remember playing ball there, wasn't it? It had swing sets too, I'm sure. I don't remember for sure, but I think they probably was. And then the Hagedorn Mills one, that had a lot of room around out back of it. It had a ball field and swing sets and, stuff like that. And like he said, we used to play a similar game like that. We did a game in the snow where they made a pathway with.
I forgot that one.
And then you would chase, and if you got caught, then you'd be in.
Yeah.
You'd be in.
Yeah, I remember that.
But you played kick the can. I don't know if they remember that today or not. We used to play kick the can when I was a kid.
We used to have 2 brothers, and the one brother would get the other one mad and get him to chase him. I can still see this in my mind. And when he got real close to him, he would stop and bend over, and that kid would go right over his back. I don't know how he didn't break his neck, but we all thought that was the coolest thing, you know. So, well, I was lucky because I lived just above it, less than half a mile, so it probably could have made me walk, but it was right on a bus route. So I got picked up and dropped off. So I never had to walk to school. But, so there were some kids that did, but they were on a side road or something, you know.
Do you remember how far some of those kids might have had to walk?
Half mile, maybe. Yeah.
I never walked to school. We had a small, like a van type bus, you know, like a regular van that wasn't not like the bigger size like they got today. But well, I guess they do have some of them around, but and it was probably 10, 12 passengers, something like that, and that's how we used to get transported. When I went to Fish House, though, my uncle lived near us, and they hired him to transport us. I would go to Fish House and go to school there, and my sister and brother, for a couple years, were still in school at Broad Alvin. And they would catch the big bus there and take that to Broad Alvin to school. And once, at that time, I was in the Broad Alvin system. And once my brother and sister both got out of school, then they took and made me switch to Galway, we were in the Galway school system up where I was up at Glen Wild. And we used to have, it's not related to the little schools, but I can remember we used to get transported by one of them little buses to where he went to school up on the hill there. Right. They'd drop us off. We had to walk down by Blaine's store and catch the big bus every day. And we switched, and we had to walk up there to down and then back up in the night and catch the bus up there. So I remember that from going to Galway when I started.
So you both get to school. Do you remember there being a bell, or how would your teacher let you all know it was time to get, started?
She had a bell. She would ring the bell. So if we were like not in our chairs and we had to get in a chair, at a desk.
Same thing for me. They had a bell that they rang when it was time to get into the classroom.
And you go in, and is for both of you, the class organized by grade with the youngest in the front, or can you talk about like that dynamic a little bit?
It's pretty much the youngest was in the front by the teacher, and the oldest was in back. We went to 6th grade there, so when you get in the back, that was the last grade. Pardon?
From 1st to 6th?
Yeah. Well, kindergarten too. They had kindergarten.
In Fish House, it was set up to, I don't remember how many grades, but probably 1 through 3 or something like that. And then the other room was 3 through 6 in Fish House. And then I guess at every grade, right up from 1st grade in Hagedorn Mills through 6th was in, and we sat, the older kids would be in the back of the room and the youngers up front.
Let's talk about what you may remember about your teachers. Teacher or teachers, if you had different ones.
I had 2, Mrs. Widman, and then I had Mrs. Hanson. And she was the last, and what I remember, I never had any trouble with them or anything. I didn't get in trouble, because if I got in trouble there, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble at home, so.
Yeah, more trouble.
But Mrs. Hanson, and they all transferred to Galloway once that it was closed, but her husband, he was like a janitor, So he would come up and do a lot of the stuff around the school that needed being done, that we couldn't do as kids. Well, I know I had a lunchbox and whatever Mom put in it. This is what I had for to eat. So
I know what I took to school every day, peanut butter and butter. That's all it was on the sandwich. Every day. Because that's what I wanted.
we got our milk from a dairy right here in Barkersville, Shaw's Dairy.
Yeah.
And they were the glass bottles. I used to have them.
Would that be delivered to your house or the school?
No, to the school. To the school. You get chocolate or you get regular milk.
Dick, do you remember that?
Well, I remember the dairy up here. I mean, we had the same type of bottles wherever we went, but I don't remember if it was Shaw's or who it was over there. But I do remember when Shaw's Dairy was still here going, though.
You mentioned having to bring in coal and doing those type of chores. Do you remember what other types of chores?
Oh, we had to do a little shoveling in the wintertime, make sure the steps was clean and everything. And they had salt, you could throw some salt down, But most of the other thing the janitor would take care of,
What do you remember about that?
Don't remember a thing about that. I don't remember having to do that.
Yeah.
No.
What about any discipline chores, like having to clean the chalkboards or wash the teacher's car or something like that?
Don't remember anything like that.
We used to have to clean the chalkboards, yes.
Do you remember, or can you tell us about that?
Not really. I mean, I don't know. Back then, it seemed to be like a privilege that you got the chance to clean everything off the chalkboard when it came your turn. They took turns with, not for discipline, just to have that opportunity to be in charge of cleaning the chalkboard.
I asked because we've gotten mixed reactions to that. Some kids love it. It's like their favorite thing to do and play with all the, chalk, but some of the kids really hated it too. So.
Yeah.
Do you guys, going back to your teachers real quick, were they part of the community? Did they travel? Do you remember anything like that?
My teachers all came right from Galloway Central School, so I don't think they lived up here, none of them. But and then if they couldn't make it, they'd have substitutes, of course, but they're always through the Central School.
I remember that the teacher just gave everybody what they needed to do. I never got any instructions from the older kids or anything. I remember them. It was kind of quiet, whatever you did, because you had so many mixture of different age groups in the class. So I don't remember any of that. That happened.
Yeah, I do remember what you said. It had to be quiet in there. If anybody was acting up and getting loud, they were terminated.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, I never had it, but some of them was put in the corner.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
Yeah, with the Percy and Sammy Souls, we were good friends for a long time. They used to come to my house, and I would go to theirs and play when we were younger. And I've got not in that category, but now it's been over 70 years since I've been out of school. I've got a friend from Alaska that I went through school at Galway with all the time that we're going to have a get-together this coming Sunday. He's flying in from Alaska, and we talked probably once a month on the phone for a long time. And I had one friend that I had lost track of, and I found out he was in Georgia. So when Joanne and I was traveling, we got to stop and spend time for 5 or 6 years before he passed, and talked about old times and stuff. And so you hang on to it. We had a really growing up in Galway School, I had a really close class. I mean, we were a really tight group.
What do you think? Why do you think that was? Why were you guys so close?
Well, I don't know. Some classes are like that, and some others are not. I mean, but we all got along real well, and we kept to be close friends. I mean, and I knew Lenny all my life, and too, because he was in the area all the time, and we knew each other. We were rivals when we went to school after I switched schools. I mean, we played ball against each other.
Is in the spring of the year before school got out, Mrs. Packer had some land around the school that had big pines and it was open, and somebody would have a barbecuer there, and we would have like a picnic, school picnic. We had that was a lot of fun, But as far as anybody getting hurt, I don't think anybody ever got hurt.
Those memories sometimes tend to stand out more for some reason, obviously. Tell us about the picnic. What kinds of things would you guys do or eat?
Well, it'd be like hot dogs and mostly hot dogs, and then they'd have salads and stuff like that. It was only a small amount of us, so they didn't wasn't a lot of food. But and then I think Mary Packer would bring up she owned the land, and she would bring up toward the end of the day a little cooler with ice cream and stuff in it. So yeah, but we would play in the woods there, hide and seek or whatever. I think that game we was talking about, the fox and the chickens, wasn't it? Chicken and the foxes, where they chased.
No, we didn't call it that. I don't remember the name of it.
I think that's what we call it, where they chase one another. You do all that. Yeah.
I can remember one thing when we were in Hagedorn Middle School with Percy Souls and I, because we were both in the same grade. And talking about the book room again, you go in there and close the door. Well, I was climbing up to where I was going to go out the window, and he grabbed my legs, and down I went like that onto the floor. I can remember that. I still remember him grabbing me by the legs, pulling them out from under me.
Where would you guys go when you would sneak out?
Just go outside and play. We'd go back behind the school, and I don't remember there being any, well, there must have been probably, but I don't remember being windows in the back of the building. And so, the teacher, she was up front, she was looking that direction, but you never could see it. You could go back in them little pines that were, at that time they were a lot smaller, but we'd run around in behind there and, just go play.
You're right about the windows, because at Barkensville School, they only had windows on one side of the building. Where the classroom was, it had windows there, but as far as the back and the other side, there was no windows.
Your teacher's blind spot. How did you sneak back in?
Go back in the window. We could boost each other up or pull up. One get in and the other one would grab hold and up back in. She never knew it.
Actually, I had skipped a question. Do you remember how many students were in, like, the school at any given time?
God, I wouldn't think there was more than either one of the schools I went to, because there was 2 rooms in that one, so there might have been maybe 30 kids altogether in Fish House, and maybe 20 in the one over in Hagedorn Mills. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't a lot of kids in there.
No, I don't think we'd have more than 20. I'm sure of that.
So let's talk about that transition to the bigger school. What was that like for you guys?
Well, that was totally different, because we had bigger classes, and of course I started in 6th grade, so we didn't have to go until 7th grade is where you had to go from room to room for different different courses, but it was totally different. It was, a lot of kids, and you had a lot of, some of the kids you came with you, but you had to make a lot of different friends.
How was it for you?
It was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, when I went to the old school in Galway down on East Street, I can remember a teacher, and I can remember his name. It was Caldero. And if you got out of line in class, I don't care where you were sitting, you'd have and I mean, if you ever did it today, they'd have you in jail. He would throw chalk at you. If you got unruly, he would wing a piece of chalk at you, or an eraser or something. He would, and I could, you couldn't get away with that today. I mean, things were different back then, but.
What was it like suddenly going to school just with your, immediate peers versus before when you were with different grades and your like immediate community members? How was that different for you? How did it feel?
Well, when you first went there, you're going to be anxious because it's all different, and like I said, you didn't know all the kids, so, but as a kid, you get used to that fairly quick,
Well, I was exposed to that when I went to Broad in the fifth grade. It was a much bigger class, and so I got kind of used to it there, and it didn't really affect me much when I ended up going down here. It affected me more going from the fifth grade in Broad Auburn with all them kids to just a few here in Hagedorn Mills. Because you went from a big class to a small class again, and then when I went back to Galway again, it wasn't much an effect on me in that part of it all. But
the worst part for me was actually the bus ride because it was so long.
Do you remember how long?
For a kid, it was quite a long time because, we didn't go directly to your house. You had to go around where all the other kids was and dropped off. And it took quite a while, probably, I don't know, maybe half, 3/4 of an hour for me to get home.
I was going to ask you that if the bus dropped you off at your house or at a bus stop and then you had to walk.
Right at the house, but for me anyway.
yeah, right at the house for me too. When I got into high school, because I played sports a lot in school, my dad wouldn't come and pick me up from up there down to Galway. So I stayed in Galway at the corner where the old grocery store used to be, a wooden building, and my aunt lived up overhead and worked for this Galway store. Winnie, her name was, Sherman. Anyway, when she was married, and then I stayed at her house during the week. And some weekends I didn't even go home then. I stayed down there because that was the only way I could play sports if I wanted to.
That was the one thing I didn't do was play sports because we had a farm and Dad expected a certain amount of work done, so I had to be home. My mother sold eggs. We had cows, so she sold milk, butter, I still got the churn, made butter. And it was just not a farm where you're going to live off of, but made a few dollars. And we had all the food ourselves, so. Yeah.
Things have changed a lot. Most families, like he talked about their farm, everybody. My mom used to make butter, and when we had our own milk, my dad had cows. He also had horses, and actually used them up there for work for a while when I was growing up. And then they got regular equipment for us up there. But most families back then lived off of the land that they lived on because they grew everything. And that'd be a better way for people to live today.
Well, I graduated in 1965, and I put in an application at GE, and they hired me. So I spent 37 years at GE, and at 55, they were downsizing, and they offered me a heck of an offer to retire. So I jumped on it because at 55, I still worked for, well, I worked for his father-in-law, and I worked for another guy. No, it was about 60, maybe 68. So, but I was glad I did it because I used to like to fish and hunt, and I could still do all that, you know. And now I can't, but, you know, at least I had that much more time to do it, you know.
Government here.
Oh, well, yeah, then I got kind of talked into being a councilman, so that was okay. And then after I was a councilman for 2 years, or 3 years, the town supervisor, he had me as his deputy. He moved, so I got to be the supervisor, and then I ran for it, and I got it for another 2 years.
In 1958, I walked out of school in early spring, didn't graduate. Then I had to go back and get my, my diploma through afterwards. But I walked out and went home and ended up working for my dad that summer. And then I got hired full-time at the city's watershed. I worked for a total of 44 years for him. Ended up the last 27 being in charge of it all, the watershed up there. And then when I turned 62, I had bought a motorhome, and my wife was still working yet, and I said, I'm retiring, and if you want to go with me, you better retire too. So she retired early because she couldn't draw Social Security yet. And we started traveling. We traveled for over 20 years. And I started out in a smaller gas-driven coach, and we were in Texas to my daughters, which lived there at the time. And they left to go to France. Her husband got transferred with his job to France for 3 years. So my wife saw in the paper that this outfit, Ford Travel Motor Coach. So we took off one day from near Austin, and took us over 5.5 hours to get there. Never left Texas, over where it was in Nacogdoches, Texas. And I bought a bigger unit, 40 foot long, that diesel pusher, and we lived over 20 years in that and traveled everywhere in the country and had so many friends. It was unbelievable. It was the greatest experience of our life.
I live on the same property where I grew up. I got 25 acres from my parents, and of course now I own it all, but my grandfather bought it in 1927, so next year it'll be 100 years in our family.
Nice.
So,
And do you have children that you'll pass on?
I had 2 children, yeah. One lives next door to me. I gave her some land. And then I gave my granddaughter some land, so she's going to build there eventually. And my nephew lives on the other side of me. So it's all family. And next year will be 100 years, so we're going to have a big party.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
What do you guys want younger generations to know or understand about that one-room schoolhouse type of schooling? What do you think they could learn from that way of learning?
I could learn responsibility. Yeah, they wouldn't be able to use their cell phones.
What type of responsibility do you think they could learn?
Well, I mean, responsibility to whatever you got to do, whatever job you got to do it right. And you got to do it, in a timely fashion. You just can't wing it anymore,
With that small of group together, you really got to know the kids around you a lot better than probably most schools today. And it was a good experience. And like he says, it taught you responsibility, and to be a good person and be kind to people if you could. Some of them it's impossible, but today anyway. And I think that's the trouble today. I mean, back when we were kids growing up, at least both my parents didn't work. Or today, that most people, both of them work because to make things meet. I mean, it's not easy today to live with the prices of everything, and they keep going higher. But and people aren't like they used to be. I don't think they're not kind, and they don't care about other people. And we're not the kind country that we used to be. I don't think, and it needs to change if it's going to survive. If it doesn't, we won't.
Kind of merging what you both said, do you think that the one-room schoolhouse dynamic taught you responsibility to each other too?
Of course.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you've seen somebody and they needed help, you helped them. You didn't have to be asked,
Yeah.
So with that, if you could go back for one day, what would you want to experience again?
Just to be with all my friends that I had then. It would be nice.
What would you like to do?
That's exactly what I was going to say too.
Oh, probably what I would do is we just reminisce about all the fun we had.
I've known him since he was about 12 years old, I think is the first time we knew each other. And our dads were really good friends, and we got to know each other. We hunted together, and I haven't seen Richie in how many years? 30 years, maybe?
Oh, yeah, God, yes, got to be.
And it was great to be here and see him again.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, this was really good.
Thank you.
To jog your memory a little bit, I think she asked you about some of the school kids you went to school with.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the Whitney girls?
Helen, and then her cousin, Franklin. And then there was Richard Simmons.
Yeah.
There was Tommy Faley, like that.
Okay. Was it a person?
Huh?
Person? Is that the one name I remember?
Pearson.
Pearson.
There was Kenny Pearson, and he had a sister. I don't remember her name. And it was Roy Sweet, and he had a sister. And in fact, she had a bad thing happen to her when I was there. We were riding on a bicycle, and she didn't have no shoes on, and she was sitting in the front there and she got her toe caught in the chain.
God.
And took her toe right off.
Oh, gee.
God, I can still see that. That's something I didn't want to see. And then there was Regina Berry. She went to school.
Do you remember Joan Gehring being there or no?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Elaine Zanzowski.
Zazikowski, right?
Zazikowski, she was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peter was there, or was he gone by then? Peter Zazikowski.
He was older. He was already in Galloway.
Okay.
So.
Now, I didn't know any of the kids from. I obviously didn't know any of those kids either, but I don't know any names from the Hagedorn school. But do you remember?
Betty Pishul. I don't know if you remember Joe. He used to work at the Galloway School.
Yep.
Betty Pishul was there. A lot of the Vandenberg girls and They were a little bit behind me, I think, but they were. I think they were at school there.
Percy Soul and stuff, right?
Who?
You mentioned Percy.
Oh yeah, Percy and
Had to be a few other souls there.
Eddie. Eddie was there too. His brother.
Yeah.
So you guys said you hadn't seen each other in how many years?
Over 30 years, I would think so.
So I hope that this is a reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was for me.
I didn't recognize you when you
Right,
walked
neither
in.
one of us. We didn't recognize
Say,
each
I
other
thought
at
you
first.
guys did it, so I was like, what? How far apart did you live? Do you know from each other?
Well,
About-
it's probably a couple miles, maybe
A little over 4.
4 miles, I think.
Yeah, because when I did come home on the weekend, a lot of times on a Friday night, I would be able to get a ride with friends to here, and Mansfields used to live, if you went up Fox Road and turned right, and that house on the left right there, before you get to the corner, Mansfields lived there. Jimmy and Dick Mansfield were, older than me, but they were in school yet when I first started playing sports. They would give me a ride home up to here. Sometimes they took me on home, and then other times I'd walk from here to Glen Wild. It was about 4 miles. I averaged about 5 miles an hour. I remember.
But Glen Wild is about as far away, Waterworks, about as far away as you could get anywhere in Providence, where the caretaker's house.
Right.
Well, yeah,
I mean, it's,
there was no roads after that. No.
No.
yeah, it was just.
Well, it used to be years ago, but
And it's still off on its own up there. There's no other houses around it.
it used to be a pretty large community up there. Before the city bought it, it had a big tanning mill down on the flats below the house. A good sized place it used to be.
Yeah, there was enough. It had its own school district.
And also there was a sawmill there, and and an old gentleman that was from Fish House worked for us. I don't know if do you remember Dick Ryder?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
In fact he lived in that little house for a while.
I remember him.
And he used to tell about when before it had all grown up over across on the mountain over there. He said at night there would be lights all over the place. There was quite a number of people lived up there. There's probably 10 or 15 foundations, laid up foundations that are still there in the fields up there where I used to be, that people lived in.
Well, they used to harvest a lot of hemlock bark for
For tanning there, yeah.
Yep.
My father said that old flat down there was all covered with cow hair buried there, and it never disintegrates.
Rich, do you remember the tower across from the school up on the hill?
The fire tower.
The fire tower.
I climbed it.
Did you guys ever go there after school or anything, or
No.
was that just
It was pretty bad shape and of course, my father, he would say, "Don't ever go up on that tower." Worst thing he could tell me.
welcome, right?
Yeah. I went up on there, and I remember there was all names from probably the different fire rangers that was there.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, but it was sketchy. I mean, we didn't step in the middle of the stairs because they were pretty rotted, but
Yeah.
we got up there and back, and I'm still here, so it worked out. But. Part of that tower has a siren on it at the firehouse.
Right. Because they actually put it next to the school for a while too.
Yes, it was. Yeah, boy, we heard that when it went off.
Yeah.
Oof.
at one time they did a lot of surveying when I was living up at Glenwild. After I was the boss there, they did a survey thing from. You remember you could see then they put a tower over across the creek up there on top of the the hill there, the big mountain hill there,
Bald Mountain, they call it.
Yeah, and I went up there and climbed that tower. I mean, it was pretty high,
Yeah.
and I could see every lake there is around here. It was like being up in a plane. I could see Galway Lake,
Yeah.
you know, over here Nancy Lake, which one day a person pulled in my yard when we were living up there, and he says, "Can you tell me where Nancy Lake is?" And I said, "I've never heard of Nancy Lake. There's a Bills's Pond that's over there." He said, "Yeah, that's it. It's Nancy Lake now, because it was always Bills's Pond,
Right.
because the Bills family lived." And I went to school with Bobby, lived there, his parents, at the time when I was growing up. So it was neat, but that really threw me that day. I said, "I've been around here all my life. I've never heard of Nancy Lake."
Well, they named it Nancy Lake because the wife of one of the doctors at the TB hospital, she always loved that lake. She used to go up there.
Oh, I didn't know why they named
That's
it
why
that.
they named it after her. Yeah.
I could just picture this person driving up and having this conversation with them.
Well, you know, back then we had our own names for streams and stuff, and they were just after some family that lived there. You know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really the correct name, but is what we called it.
So did any time after school, like, did you go down to a Packer store or anything? Or
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys, kids, head down to.
You go down there, you get a lot. For a quarter, you could get quite a bit of candy back then. Yeah. Then I mowed the lawn for Packers, and I used to have a push mower. I used to go all the way from my house, about a mile probably, down there, mow, and I got $1 quarter, and if Blaine was in the store, I'd go in there and he'd say, "Fill your pockets." I'd get extra candy or something.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
When you got something with Blaine, he'd have a pencil that was about this long, and he'd go with his tongue, and when you got something, write it out, and then he'd figure it all up on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
No cash register, nothing there.
Yep.
And I used to cut hay and help him put his hay in when I got older and lived here in the trailer at the foot of the hill there. And he used to pay me back. I could go in and he'd keep track of the hours and how much he gave me an hour. I don't remember what it was at the time. It wasn't a whole lot of money back at that time. So anyway, he'd keep track of it, and then I could go in and get stuff out of the store, and he'd write it down and take it off the bill what he owed me. But it was neat. That was a really neat little store.
Yeah.
When I first got married, I lived in Schenectady. I hated it because, you know, living up here. And so we came back, and his wife, Mary, she had a little house at the foot of the hill that's still there. And we rented that for a year before I moved back on the farm. But she, don't ask me why, but she charged me $57 a month.
57 now.
Yeah, you'd think 60, you know, 57.
Your brother lived there.
He
before
lived
that,
there,
too.
yeah, a long time
Hank,
back. Yeah, he
his
lived
brother Hank lived there, and when I had the place at the foot of the hill right there, old George Freer, you remember him? He
Yep.
used to be in politics with the.
He was a
board.
judge.
Oh, is that what he was? I
George
don't
was a
remember.
judge, yeah.
He lived there for
The
a
houses
year.
were right next to each other. Where Dick lived and where the house that Mary rented, they were next to each other here. They're still both there, the house
Okay.
and the trailer. Not
Yeah.
the same trailer, but a different.
No, yeah, right. I sold that to a teacher when we moved. We bought a house over on Greens Corners Road, and I sold the trailer to a teacher that teaches in Galway. What was John Smith?
Oh, yeah, yep.
And then they built a house up by where my Craig,
Yeah, across from Craig.
across from Craig. You know, I tried to buy property off him. He wouldn't sell me any.
Craig wouldn't either?
No, Craig, he would, but John, he sold it to John, but he wouldn't sell it to me.
Okay, yeah.
John lived in your place when I lived there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I thought when we first got in there, I thought there was something wrong with the water. You know, it was hardly coming out, just trickling out. Well, the well was up on a hill and it was gravity fed, didn't have a pump. Took forever to fill up the bathtub. Good old days, though.
For sure.
They were
School
good.
number 2 was originally right here on the corner here by the church in Barkersville.
Oh.
And the school number 2 that he went to was, when they got rid of that one, they put a new school number 2 up on top of the hill across Glen Wild.
Mm-hmm.
They call it the new school.
And you had that Center Schoolhouse,
Yep,
and they had Antioch Schoolhouse.
yep.
Quite a few around.
And then
Yeah,
your school number 5, which was a shared district with Broad Alban, that you went to for 1 year, I believe that was a 2-room schoolhouse by the pictures.
I
I know
can't
you
read.
said
It could have been. I don't remember. I thought it was just a one room.
Yeah.
That I don't remember. But you know, that could
Right.
be. I don't know.
Right.
I think maybe probably most of them were 2 rooms, maybe
You know, ours was just a one.
just one room.